Welcome to Therapist Spotlight.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to Angie's Therapist Spotlight, the podcast where we aim to showcase our wonderful therapists to the wider community. I'm your host, Joshua Brooks, and with us today is Joanna Sochan. Joanna is a holistic therapist that specializes in food sensitivity testing, the gut health, and parasitic infections. So this is going to be a really interesting conversation, and I believe you've got a study underway, which we're going to really be interested in hearing how that's going. So, Joanna, how are you today?
I'm very well, thank you, Josh. How are you?
I'm doing really good. So I'm really looking forward to this conversation. I think this is going to be interesting. So first question, as always, what got you into natural health and what got you into natural therapies in general?
Well, you know, it's one of those stories. I've had a love for good food and medicinal herbs actually since early on, since childhood, really. And that continued through times and through continents, I'd say, because I grew up in Poland. In a small town, beautifully surrounded by beautiful countryside and forests and lots of herbs and meadows. You know, I went with my grandmother to gather the herbs.
Wow.
And to dry them for winter, for teas, for making jams, etc. So I'm very much come from that environment of being close to nature, and my parents had a farm. They grew their own food, and you know, and cooking is such a tradition in Poland. Fresh cooking from scratch, and gathering around food and celebrating, you know, family milestones, etc. So I've been a foodie really since I was a child.
Yeah.
Even though. But also I was a very sickly child and with lots of colds and infections, and took a lot of antibiotics. That lasted quite a few years, and I now know that it really negatively impacted my gut. Up until now, I just have to be really careful with my gut. But now I can help myself, and I wanted to learn how to help myself using natural medicines as much as I could. So so that was a long journey, I suppose, because I started in Poland. I studied, Josh, I studied engineering in Poland.
Oh, did you? Wow.
So I've got a Master of Industrial Engineering.
Wow.
Degree. Although I never worked as an engineer, I've used the analytical approach and, you know, problem-solving skills and looking for optimal solutions. That's what I've learned. Not the best solutions. There's a difference between optimal and the best. And I use it in each job I had since. So it's been very helpful. I came to Australia then and studied here human resources. And worked as a headhunter for executive search firms for 18 years in a corporate. Yes, recruiting for CEOs, general managers, board directors for top companies in Australia, which was fascinating, very, very good time. But I wanted to move into the natural medicines, start to study natural medicine as soon as I could. And I did in 2004. I started studying nutrition, then herbal medicine, and then complementary medicine at the university. While still working part-time, 4 days, you know, my corporate job.
Wow.
Yes, it was crazy. So I was going after work to the college, and then working, studying on the weekends. Yes, it was a huge workload. I was running on the adrenaline, and for far too long, and of course ended up with a big health crash, severe adrenal fatigue for 2 years.
Wow.
Couldn't recover. So that was a hard lesson to learn. Lesson. But I can help others not to make the same mistake, let me tell you.
Really gives you that empathetic, it really does give you that empathetic viewpoint, doesn't it, when you've been through it yourself?
That's exactly right, and to know how hard it is to recover, even knowing being a naturopath, couldn't help myself for a long time. So, but the good thing is that I decided then that I'm going to specialize and only, in the areas that I myself experienced and was, was sick or recovered from different conditions, adrenal fatigue being one of them, hormonal issues, gut issues, so because I really want to understand what the clients are going through and how to help them.
Yeah, amazing. Well, yeah, a lot of people don't necessarily know, but I started my career off in engineering as well. I was doing mechanical engineering. Yeah. I guess, yeah, so it's interesting how that analytical and that engineering mindset does come through a lot, I think, and it does help with that problem solving. What I would ask you is, what have you noticed a bit of a difference between Australia and Poland? Have you noticed a little bit of a difference towards the attitudes towards health and the way we apply health? What's your experience been around that with the two sort of cultures?
I think it's hard for me to say because now the majority actually of my life I lived in Australia.
Yeah. Yep.
But I have to say that Polish people, I think, are closer to nature in general, and cooking is a very important skill that you learn, in the family, and cooking from scratch and growing your own food. Very important. So having a garden, even growing your own herbs. You can do it on the balcony as well. So I'm very much encouraging my clients to do that as much as possible. And being more adventurous, trying different foods. So I'm talking about Poland. But cooking from scratch, I think, the willingness to really cook from scratch and try different recipes, I'd say would be the most. And growing your own food as well, although this is changing now, I feel.
Yeah, definitely. It's excellent. It's an excellent thing that it is changing. Gets us closer to where our food comes from is always a good thing for multiple reasons, I think.
I couldn't agree more.
So besides the adrenal stuff, what really made you want to specialize in the gut health and the parasites in the way that you've done your practice? What was it that grabbed you about that?
Well, with the adrenal fatigue come other things, Josh. So obviously gut was a major problem. So there are adrenal fatigue syndrome, which encompasses gut issues. And I actually had a parasite at the time as well, which I didn't know until I tested for it. And also anxiety and depression, hormonal problems. So, so there was a cluster of things, but that parasite that I acquired then, made me do research, on parasite infections of the gut and treating them. So I specialize these days in treatments for blastocystis hominis and Amoeba fragilis, which are two very common parasites in Australia, actually found in Australia. So I've been really working in this area for the past 6 years, doing a lot of research as well. It's a very interesting area, and I find that my therapeutic approach, definitely changed over the time from let's kill them now, to really looking for reasons why the parasites are there in the first place, and what roles actually they may play within the microbiome, and why the body sometimes encourages or tolerates parasites for detox purposes, interestingly enough. So these days, I find that the most effective therapy for parasites is really using antimicrobial herbs and killing the parasites, although it is required from time to time just to decrease the numbers. But it's more really working with the microbiome, with balancing the microbiome and the immune system. Because remember, the immune system should be able to control parasites in the first place. So if they are causing problems, that is a very good indication that the immune system is not working properly. So that takes more time. But it's much more effective than being on antibiotics, like from the doctors. Even antimicrobial herbs are quite hard on the gut, and we need to do gut repair after both medicines, so drugs, and antimicrobial herbs. So I have a lot of patients who went through the doctor way and had the triple therapy, quadruple therapy, and still couldn't get rid of the parasites. And they end up at my practice, and we just try to. It's a long way from there. It's a long way because the microbiome and gut is damaged by the drugs, but it's possible.
I'd like your opinion on this then, because I had this explained to me, and it kind of makes sense to me that if you look at a forest, where you see the most fungus and the worms and stuff is when things are decaying, and the worms are there to mulch and decay, and the fungus is there to eat the decaying matter so that it can be reused by the forest. And so I got explained it to me that that's kind of what the parasites and the fungal overgrowths and that sort of stuff is doing to us. If we're killing our cells and if we're decaying inside because of an unhealthy lifestyle or over medication, then the parasites and the fungus and maybe the small intestinal bacterial overgrowth is there to clean up and to mop up those decaying cells. So by putting the emphasis on killing the parasites, we're possibly killing off our body's internal landscape of it, helping to remove those dead cells and the toxins. What do you think about that sort of mindset, or that thinking about how it's sort of working?
I agree with that from my experience. Because as I said to you, there is always a reason. That's what I've learned. It's always body is very wise, and we are just equipped with self-healing and detox if we support the body and allow it to function properly. So yes, let's just say I've noticed that when people have heavy metals, for example, the body encourages actually parasites, tolerates them, because they actually are like little sponges for the heavy metals. They absorb them, so that means they're no longer in body tissues, but kind of externally, if you know what I mean, but based externally. So that's I've noticed with the treatments, for example, if in the beginning when we were kind of starting from killing the parasite, but not looking at the gut health, if the gut is leaky, because if it's gut is leaky, the toxins will go back into circulation. So there is a certain sequence that you do those programs, and you don't jump to killing first. You need to heal the gut, seal the gut before you can do that sort of protocol. And absolutely, and Candida is always they are best friends, companions, parasites and Candida, because they are opportunistic, you see. So when the microbiome and the immune system are not working properly, are not able to function properly, the other guys overgrow and take over. But they can then mop up, so to speak, in the body of different things, and then once it's safe for us to escort them from the body, we can do it with success. And I think that the aim of the treatment these days for me is to decrease the number of the parasites or of Candida, so the immune system then can get on the top of things and manage them, because we're not eliminating them. We can't eliminate them. They're always there.
Yeah.
But they have to be at the level that is for the body, manageable for the body, let's just say.
Yeah.
Oh, they've got very important roles.
Definitely. And again, like I like this whole idea of looking at it as sort of like a more ecosystem in our bodies rather than, you know, an invader or an invading army, like I guess is the old school way of thinking about immune health.
Yes, because we just one point, last point, the research shows now we don't even know that blastocystis and dientamoeba are always parasitic. Because there are different subtypes, you know, or blastocystis 17 apparently. And only most of them are just benign. They're just there as a part of microbiome, but there are a few strains that can cause troubles. So that's, we shouldn't be killing something we don't know if it's really causing the problems. Because usually I find parasites, let's just say 30% of the time are the problem, but the 70% of the time are other things going on in the body.
So then if I'm sitting here listening to this and I think I might have a problem like this, what are some of the symptoms that may prompt someone to come and see you in terms of like the gut specialist and the parasitical things? What should I be looking for to think, oh, maybe I do have this problem and I should get it looked at?
Yes, so quite severe gut symptoms. So we're talking about bloating, right? Flatulence, pain, cramps, especially pain around the belly button. I find that's a very telling sign of having like dientamoeba infection, diarrhea, of course, you know, diarrhea that comes and goes. That is a very parasitic type of pattern because they are living creatures. They go through the life cycles, you know, and so let's say from egg until the adults. So when the eggs are laid, you go through usually a quiet period of time in the gut. But when they hatch, all right, then you get the symptoms because there are too many of them, and you can really feel, and the immune system is struggling with containing them. So let's say they hatch every 2 weeks. All right, or every 3 weeks, there are different period of times. You get those symptoms, and in between you're kind of all right. You may get some bloating, but that's cyclical without explanation. So it's not food related. You just is it food related? Not really. There is a tell sign that you might have parasites. We need to check for that. So we need to test. So being an engineer, I really rely on testing a lot. And not only for parasites, but also even basic blood tests tell me a lot about nutritional deficiencies, that are easily identified through the test. And we need to address them before, almost anything else, because some of them are very important. And if we don't, it's almost no matter what you do, it will not work, or it will work a little bit. But so I'm talking about zinc, I'm talking about vitamin B12, iron, vitamin D, basics we need to cover for people to start healing. But also, gut testing. So GI map, for example, Genova's very good microbiome test, Microba test, which is an Australian company based in Queensland with excellent microbiome profiles, and organic acid tests for chronic long-term conditions are very good as well. So I do a lot of testing, but I also like the traditional remedies, Josh. This is just because it's art and science, I reckon, what we do.
100%, definitely. So if I'm a client coming to you, feel like I've got these symptoms, do you want me to get the tests beforehand, or do you organize the tests after we've had a consultation? What can I expect from the consultation? What questions do you like to ask? And would you prefer for me to go to my GP first and get a full blood screen before I come to you? What's that look like for you if people are interested in coming and checking this out?
Yes, so testing, I usually, we discuss it at the first consultation, so initial consultation. And what it is, it's a very, I send a detailed questionnaire, health questionnaire prior to the consultation for people to complete and do a kind of self-assessment, you know, so what are the current symptoms, past history, what drugs, supplements are their own family history, go through the systems, so gut, stress, you know, cardiovascular, and a bit of information about lifestyle and nutrition. So it's very comprehensive. So I send them before the consultation and ask them to email it back to me before we speak. All right. And if they've got any blood tests done, let's say in the past 6 to 12 months, I also ask the clients to email them to me. And quite a few of them, they've done a basic tests. If not, then during the consultation, I assess, I can just say what we need, what blood tests do we need to do? Do we need to do gut testing as well, or parasite testing? Which are different levels of what we need to do. Depends on the picture, on the health status, etc. So we decide what to do after the first consultation, the steps, what are the testing, and basically how long possibly or estimating this could last, because with parasites, some protocols take, 3 months, 3 to 6 months. And so it's could be a long-term process. Not for kids though. For kids, it's really, kids are recovering very quickly and they don't need antimicrobial herbs at all.
And so what sort of, so if we've gone through the consultation now we're looking at treatment, and you're saying it can be like 3 to 6 months. What can I expect through that 3 to 6 months? Are you taking a look at a lot of different sort of herbs, or will it be the same herbal remedies for the 6 months? Are you talking to them about their diet and what they can do and how they can change it? What's the treatment over those 3 months look like for sort of your basic client? I know everyone's different and it will change a little bit, but just in basic, broad sort of terms.
Yes, so the foundation for me is the nutrition. So food as medicine. That's we all know that phrase, but that's what I use whenever possible, right? So the first consultation also includes, I ask my clients to do food diaries, food intake, and we analyze it very, very thoroughly, because that food sensitivity testing comes in here then, because it's food sensitivity. It's very important to actually do the test before actually embarking on any diets. Because some very good foods, let's say avocados, for example, carrots, which we say are fantastic, but you may be sensitive to them. And without knowing that, I can give you a diet which I think it's really good, or good food. However, it may actually be inflammatory for you. So these days, I really do food sensitivity testing, food intolerance for all my clients. All right. Because that I'd like to tell you about the study, because that kind of
it links in. Go.
Yes, I actually teamed up for that study with Nicholas Green. He is a holistic chiropractor practicing in Sutherland here in Sydney, and he started doing this food sensitivity testing, specifically IgG, and I explain what it is, a few years ago. And he noticed that for his chronic conditions, let's just say complex chronic condition clients. And he just started to see remarkable results just by following the elimination diet based on the results, you know. And we just started to talk and decided, I've been doing intolerance testing before, but there is quite a bit of controversy over it. I'm not sure if you're aware of it. Some practitioners really don't do it, don't believe in it, so to speak, don't believe that it's effective. And I was just kind of sitting on the fence with that. But we investigated, we decided we have to do a credible test, all right, test-based, really scientific IgG testing, and that's ELISA method testing, which is a gold standard for food sensitivities, because there are a lot of food sensitivity tests on the internet that you can do, like for $50 or $40. And I think that the bad name for the intolerance testing comes from those type of tests that are not really reflecting what really is going on. So we found a very good test. It's called Footprint, all right? And it tests 200 plus foods. It's a blood test.
Yeah.
And it's basically and what happens, the immune system produces immunoglobulins or antibodies to undigested big protein chunks that come through the leaky gut to the blood. All right, so they basically, antibodies come and grab those proteins and form the so-called immune complexes. All right, it's just kind of for elimination. But if you keep eating those foods all the time, the immune complexes can't be removed from the body. So the body then, in its wisdom, try to warehouse somewhere, remove it, and it puts it into tissues. These are inflammatory compounds, so they go to joints, go to muscles, go to the fat around the belly, for later to be removed. But if you keep eating the foods, you can't remove them. You can't remove them from storage. So what happens when you stop, when you do the test and just identify those inflammatory foods that cause the immune to react, because that's an immune reaction, all right? Then you stop that process, and the body has the chance to start to remove those immune complexes, remove the inflammation, and people get better very quickly. And people think that food sensitivities are related to gut symptoms, but that's not true at all. The symptoms depend where those immune complexes, which tissues they are deposited at. So it could cause chronic fatigue, IBS, of course, bloating, migraines. It's a huge one.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Hives, so skin disorders we see, eczema, psoriasis, depression, anxiety, you name it, because these inflammatory compounds kind of go to your weakest link in your body, which is quite individual, but leaky gut is one of the most important things to address, to stop decrease food intolerances in a big way. So I just find it just invaluable tool for people, for me as a practitioner, to know what diet. So this is my diet, Josh. This is my diets. If you, I'm sure you can ask me, what diet do I prefer or use, etc. This is it. So, and it's very good for the clients as well, because they see the results. And I say to them, we ask the question. This is asking the body the questions. Which food are not good for me at the moment? and the body answers.
Mm.
Like a direct communication. So we've got the feedback, and this is not me telling them, without sometimes can't justify why I say, oh, dairy, please remove the dairy on gluten. No, it's black and white. And they've got the feedback, and it's comforting for them as well, that they've got a path. That it's not just what a naturopath said, but the body is indicating we need to do something about that.
Yeah.
And it's usually, the dairy, gluten, eggs, soy, corn. So these are the main ones. Yeast come up a lot, but also less obvious foods like potatoes, for example. Tomatoes, or some fish comes up. So these are the foods that we would never guess or to identify it really. Once it's done, that basically we work on removing as many foods as possible from that red area, and substituting the foods to make sure that the clients, they need to change a lot, but are not disadvantaged or develop any nutritional deficiencies.
Yeah, it sounds amazing. It sounds epic. It sounds really, really good.
We've got amazing results, Josh.
Yeah.
Amazing. So it's been two years now. We've got around 20 people who went through the process. And the process is a long one because we test, and the person needs to stay on the elimination diet for approximately 6 months. 6 months. That's how long does it take to the body to remove those complexes. And then they retest, let's say at 6 months, 7 months, but some people need to wait up until 12 months if they really have a lot of things going on. And then we, on the retest, we just see which foods now can be reintroduced. Because the aim is always to reintroduce as many foods as possible. So restricting, yes, but I make sure we've got one-on-one coaching going on for 6 months, 7 months to make sure that they know what to eat, how to substitute with menus, recipes, meal examples. So the full support, because I had people crying, quite a few people crying, seeing that they've got 50 or 60 red foods on the test, and they were convinced they have nothing to eat left. So it's a journey for them. It's really an overhaul that has to be managed actually, and it has to work for them. Yeah. As you know, we have to include the lifestyle, finances, how much they know about nutrition. But bottom line, the closer you stick to the results, the better results you've got,
And so I guess, I really like that you're talking about adding back in those foods, because I know for myself, right, I've got a pretty stripped down diet now because of a whole bunch of different gut stuff myself, right? So when looking at that, it can be quite daunting, and especially if you got friends that aren't necessarily so open-minded, and they're going out and they're having, fun, and then you try and go out and you join them, and then it's a little bit weird, can't eat anything. And so it can be quite interesting working through that social dynamic as well. I understand for people, but yes, I really love that it's the aim is to, we can just add in some that aren't going to inflame you super bad. It's just we have to get that gut, we have to get your body a little bit more resilient so that it can bounce back and it can handle those little bits of food. So at the end of the day is that, 90% of the time you have a really good diet, which will then take care of that 10% of the time that you'd maybe want to splash out with your friends, or if you're out and you maybe have something that's not quite the best for you, it's only 10 to 20% of the time. So your body's going to be able to handle it like that because you're healthy and you're fit and you're resilient. It's like, I just love that concept for people, because I think sometimes they go, oh my God, I'll never be able to eat anything again.
That's the reaction. That's the most common reaction to people. Oh my God, what am I going to eat when I go out? And that's yes. People don't want to, be difficult or stand out in those situations. So, but that's why we just make sure from the day one, once they've got the results, we just, the next consultation is just go through the results. We take an hour and a half sometimes to go food by food, so they understand where the less obvious sources of that food, because that's very tricky. So label reading it's just becoming key skills for them, and they get very good at it very quickly. It takes around 6 weeks for people to get up to speed, and from this I can't do it to really being comfortable and understanding what they're doing, reading labels, and starting to develop, put together their own new food plan. So it's exciting to watch. And so we've got
very much
just tell you, in terms of the study, we group our patients into 5 groups. Gut health, we've got then hormone imbalances, because very closely related to gut health, and food sensitivities. And then we've got autoimmune disorders, weight loss, amazing results with weight loss, and skin.
Yeah, wow.
Again, few cases, hives of horrible hives, for example, and eczema just going away. I'm just so amazed myself as a practitioner, what we've stumbled upon, Nick and I, and that's why our mission is to get it out to people, let people know about it.
Yeah.
We would like to publish a study further down the track, or a book, or we haven't decided yet what to do. In the meantime, I'm publishing the studies, the case studies, on my website.
Oh, excellent.
So for people just to just see step by step, describing what we do, the process. And so I've got one lady lost 35 kilos in 8 months. Only not doing nothing else, Josh, but following the diet, not even supplements, nothing. That's
just amazing. Like the what that does for your confidence and what that does for your health and overall well-being is just beautiful. Unfortunately, we're just coming up on time, Joanna. I just thank you so much for sharing this with us. It just sounds wonderful. So for anybody out there who may be suffering from these and have tried different things and they can't seem to shift it, where's the best place to contact you? Where can they get in touch? And how does that work in terms of people? Are you virtual, or is it just in clinic? How do you like to work?
Yes, at the moment I'm virtual, so
Perfect.
online consultations because of the current situation. So I've got clients from all over Australia wide. At the moment, I do not consult with overseas based clients. And the best place is my website, Naturimedica.com. This is like a really help center and resource for my clients and everyone else who is looking for information on how to treat parasites, gut, hormones, as I mentioned, and the food sensitivities. I've got a few posts on what are they, how we test, and the cases, the case studies that people can read and just see if they want to do it. Is it doable, that they think? And then they can get in touch with me. They can book a consultation through the website. I've got an offer of 25 minutes of initial free conversation, so we can see if I can help or what's happening. And they can call me as well. So we are still recruiting, so to speak, for the people for the study, because we would like to have at least 50 cases.
Yep.
Good sample. So if anyone is interested and would like to participate, you're very welcome to get in touch with me.
Yeah, please, guys, if anybody out there looks like this can help, or if you just want to put yourself up for the case study, yeah, please get in touch. But Joanna, we'd just like to thank you so much for coming on and talking with us today. It's been absolutely wonderful. And as always, guys, links will be in the descriptions below. Contact Joanna if you think that she can help you. And yeah, we'll catch you all next time. So thanks for coming on.
Thank you very much, Josh, for the opportunity.
Oh, it's my pleasure.
And
And as soon as you publish that book, let me know, because I want to get a copy.
I will, for sure. All right.
For everybody else out there, oh, yep, sorry.
Thank you again.
Oh, my pleasure. And for everybody else out there, have a great afternoon, and we'll catch you all next time. Hey, see ya.
Thank you for listening to Therapist Spotlight. If you would like to know more about ANTA, visit us at www.anta.com.au.